This is Flat Out Agility, an Australian agility podcast. I'm Grace. When I signed up for my first agility class with my dog Luca 10 years ago, I'd only attended a handful of dog training classes. I knew what a clicker was and how to use it, but that was about the extent of it. For my first dog as an adult, I knew I wanted to approach training differently to how I'd experienced dogs in my childhood, and I knew that meant more than just using rewards, but I didn't have the knowledge or experience back then to understand what kind of skills are really needed for dog sports. By the time I got my second dog, Marcy, I'd experienced a lot more training and done a lot more research to learn about things like reinforcement skills and targeted relationship building. So I got a lot further with her than I had with Luca. But I still had gaps in my knowledge, and I still didn't understand a lot of the core lifestyle skills that would be important for success. My third dog, Topaz, was a crash course in these lifestyle skills, as well as arousal regulation. Every new dog you work with opens you up to new learning and broadens your understanding of dog training. Agility is more than obstacle training and handling. Before you even get to foundations, there's a whole host of prerequisite skills that you should probably think about before you start out on your agility journey, or you may circle back later because something isn't quite working. I put these prerequisite skills across 6 key areas that it's worth time exploring to ensure your future agility practice is at its best. Once again, I want to mention that I am not a professional trainer. I'm not giving you a training plan here. I'm talking broadly about the prerequisite skills that are helpful for agility. The first key area is relationship building. In my experience instructing at my dog club, relationship building is the most necessary component for any kind of training. Why should your dog want to train with you if you haven't even established a strong relationship? Reinforcement can only get you so far with a dog that you don't have some rapport with. I think relationship building can be broken into 5 main building blocks: trust, stability, play, engagement, and communication. Most people intuitively understand that there needs to be trust in a good relationship, including the relationship you have with your dog. Your dog needs to trust you, and you need to trust your dog. The way you build trust is going to be different for every dog handler team, but the broad strokes are about being someone that your dog feels safe around, and someone that understands your dog does dog things and doesn't try to punish out normal dog behavior. Stability is about being a reliable and consistent presence in your dog's life and providing predictability and security. Play is about building the relationship through shared, enjoyable activities undertaken voluntarily, that's free from coercion. Playing with your dog gives you a chance to be silly and loose and free, and lets you tap into a rare opportunity for equality between human and canine, as long as you allow yourself to let go of any human-centric notions of hierarchy. Play can really deepen relationships through strengthening trust, practicing cooperation, and sharing joy. Engagement is about how you start to layer in the idea of doing something with your dog that's not play, but still enjoyable and rewarding for you both. This is where you show your dog that you are an interesting and valuable person who offers novel opportunities and fun activities. And finally, communication is about how you work out how to listen to you and how to speak to your dog. If you're just getting to know a dog or puppy, these are the sorts of things that you need to consider for what you want your relationship with your dog to look like and how you're going to get there. If your relationship with your dog is not where you want it to be, maybe one of these aspects is missing or isn't quite developed enough. For some people, these relationship building skills can come naturally. But if it's new to you, this is your chance to be deliberate in your actions. I think it's always good to have a bit of a high-level overview so that you can make sure you're living true to your values and goals for your relationship with your dog. Reinforcement skills are what you develop to enhance your interactions with your dog. There are so many aspects to reinforcement that are beneficial for dog-human relationships, but I'm just going to touch on a few key things that can be considered prerequisites for agility. The first is play, again. Extending out from the relationship aspect of play, this is where you find ways to use play as reinforcement so that your dog has a strong motivation for training. This is different to play as a free-form activity, so you need to be really mindful about how you play with your dog, with what and where, to be able to effectively and ethically use it in your training. I would say the next most relevant reinforcement skill is teaching your dog to eat food in a variety of environments. Eating food is a behavior that can be taught, and not all dogs come pre-programmed to be confident and comfortable eating in any situation. Food is a deeply useful reinforcement option that can be developed in a dog, and often playing with food helps here too. Developing eating skills in your dog allows you to effectively and ethically use food in training. The third reinforcement skill that I'll touch on is marking. Marking behaviour before reinforcing it helps to provide clarity to your dog, which makes training easier to achieve. Thinking about markers that indicate what, where, and how your dog should expect reinforcement can really elevate your training. The next category of prerequisite skills are lifestyle skills. This is where I place skills like recall, calmness, walking on a leash, waiting, and coping in busy environments. These types of skills can sometimes come naturally to dogs, but usually they need to be trained with a lot of real-world experience. It's all well and good to teach your dog to recall, be calm, or walk on a leash in a sterile environment, but the skills aren't solid until they're brought to the context they're needed for. Agility requires a lot of waiting around, so it's really important for our agility dogs to be able to handle this expectation. For our own dog's safety and the safety of everyone in agility, dogs need to have these lifestyle skills before we start bringing them to competition. There are tons of places to learn these skills: classes, clubs, online courses, books, and videos. Coming hot on the heels of lifestyle skills are what I would call arousal regulation skills. I've talked before about the arousal valence model, which is a useful tool for understanding our dog's emotions. Valence is the measure of a dog's emotion from unpleasant to pleasant, and arousal is the intensity of that emotion. Arousal is a common term in agility, but often people leave out the valence part, which is just as important. A dog that is in high arousal, pleasant valence is a dog that is happy and excited, probably what most people consider the optimal performance for an agility dog. While a dog that is experiencing high arousal, unpleasant valence is a dog that is frantic or frustrated. A dog that is in low arousal, pleasant valence is a dog that is calm and content, while a dog that is in low arousal, unpleasant valence is a dog that is shut down. The skill of arousal regulation is when we as handlers are able to observe where our dog sits within the arousal valence model at any given time, and then being able to guide them through the process of moving between those states. Optimally, we want our dogs to be able to move from high arousal to low arousal and back while staying in pleasant valence. But if our dogs do find themselves in unpleasant valence, then we need to have taught them skills that can get them to move through the unpleasant feelings back to pleasant feelings without fallout. This is also called mode switching, or teaching your dog to have an off switch, which is another way of saying low arousal, pleasant valence. I learned about the arousal valence model from Lisa Mullinax on her podcast Aggression Bites. And both Sarah Stremming and Megan Foster also talk about this on their respective podcasts, Cog Dog Radio and Fostering Excellence in Agility. For handlers with dogs that are regularly in high arousal, I think it's important for us to understand the valence side to it. Megan Foster also has an episode about prerequisite skills for agility, so I'll link that in the show notes as well. Finally, the last two key areas of prerequisite skills for agility are fitness for your dog and fitness for you. To be safe and successful in sports, our dogs need to have a certain level of fitness, which includes good balance, core strength, stillness, flexibility, and smooth motion. These are things we can improve in our dogs through targeted exercise, as well as thoughtful enrichment opportunities. It's important that we work on our dogs' fitness outside of training if we expect them to perform well in a structured sport environment. And for ourselves, we need to have a certain level of fitness for agility as well. And I don't mean being the fastest runner. What I mean is we need to have appropriate fitness skills to be able to be a good team member to our dog. We need to work on our own handler mechanics, which means things like coordination, peripheral vision, and endurance. We need to be able to put in an equitable effort to agility so that we can be in the right place at the right time, use the right cues, keep up the connection our dogs need, and communicate clearly during a sequence. So, to recap, prerequisite skills for agility include relationship building, reinforcement skills, lifestyle skills, arousal regulation, and canine and handler fitness. If we make sure we work on these prerequisite skills before we have greater expectations of ourselves and our dogs in agility, then we're more than likely going to have an easier and more successful experience in our sport, and probably more fun too. This has been Flat Out Agility. Be kind to dogs.